everyone, it's Tracy here again from Temperance Tarot with the last video I'm going to make while I'm off work. Today is January the 1st, 2019, and I have to go back to work tomorrow. So these are my favorite decks from 2018. I've narrowed it down to 10 tarot decks and 5 oracle decks. So that's 15 in all. And these are not necessarily decks that came out in 2018, but they are decks that came to me in 2018. So let's just get started. And we will start with the lovely Victorian Romantic Tarot from Baba Studios. Show you a few of the cards from each of these decks. This is a really, really beautiful deck. It does read very well. Let's put it so we could see a few cards together, like they would look in a spread. Well, this is interesting since I don't read reversals, how some of them got upside down. It's just very readable. The artwork is gorgeous. I love the Queen of Cups, the Chariot. Lots of walkthroughs of this deck. There's one card in particular. Almost the last card in the deck. This Ace of Wands, I think, is absolutely gorgeous. So, yep, I really love this deck. I love how it reads, and I really love how it shuffles. Next up is the Victorian Tarot, which I have this lovely box for my Victorian Terra that was made by Bunny Kisses. It's a similar aesthetic to the Victorian Romantic, except this one's in black and white. I don't know if it's just pre-existing artwork or if it's actually collaged, but it is fabulous. There's the book. But I really, really love this deck. And I picked the Empress card from my front. Oh, that's why. There are 2 Strength and 2 Justice cards, so that you can put them in either position, 8 or 11. And I left it, I keep forgetting that I have a couple of cards on top that are the ones that I don't use. And I'll shuffle them into the deck, and then sometimes I will get both versions of Strength or this is another deck with really superb cardstock, and it shuffles like a dream. It has to be collaged. I mean, look at that. There's no painting, no pre-existing artwork that looks like that, I'm sure. Yeah. At the very least, the suit pieces, the suit symbols are collaged in. This one's a little bigger than a standard tarot size. It just barely fits in my hands. Beautiful shuffler. And great readings, you know, standard Rider-Waite. Because I am a Rider-Waite girl. Okay. Let's try this. Let's put the book and the 2 extra cards under the ribbon. Put the ribbon down. And then put these on the top. These aren't in any particular order, so this is just the 3rd deck that I pulled down. This is my Sakki, which I just did my New Year spread with this deck. It's a little smaller so I can get more cards in. And it just gave me a lovely reading for my new year. I've talked about this deck a lot lately. It's just, it reads surprisingly well. I just thought it might be a little too quirky for me, and the people with the missing heads might kind of mess me up a little bit, but I like them a lot, and I like the artwork, and I just love the messages that I get from the Sakki. Number 4, another fine art collage deck. Can you see a theme here? This is the Distant Past Tarot. I got this one very early in the year. It technically might have come to me in the end of 2017, but it was in, I think, my January, the decks I used in January, or maybe February, I don't remember, but it was early in the year. And it's a great deck. It's another Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I love the color of the skies. Why are all my wands together? But it's sort of a romantic, not Victorian, maybe more like pre-Raphaelite, mostly. But it's just, I love it. I'm pretty sure you can still get this one on Etsy. It went out of print for a little while. I think maybe she was changing printers or something. I'm not sure. But I do think this one is available again now. It's got sort of a linen finish, and it's really just basically perfect cardstock. These are the backs. Next up, we have the Gill Tarot. I'm really surprised at how much I love this deck. It should be pretty widely available by now. But it's just such an easy reader. With the big numbers on it, if you're doing a lot of cards in a spread, it just makes everything pop. It's easy to see what's in your spread, how many 6s, how many 5s. I like the keywords on this deck. I can work with the keywords. They aren't as limiting as some keywords seem to be. And I don't know why that is. It might just be a mental thing for me or something in my, subconscious, but I can get a lot of context from these very simple cards with a number and a keyword and maybe a little bit of extra illustration. And the majors are just stunning. I was thinking I might get a backup copy for this one and trim one of them and not trim the other, but I've seen one of them trimmed on, I believe Simon trimmed one on Hermit's Cave, and I prefer it with the borders. I thought I wanted a trimmed copy, but I think the border, like this one, is just so, I don't know, it feels very powerful to me. And when you remove that border, the containment of the power is let loose and it just kind of explodes. So I'm going to keep the borders on it, and I'm not going to, at this point, I'm not going to get a backup copy because this is US Games cardstock. It wears like iron. It's fabulous. And we'll give it a shuffle. It's thicker cardstock. It's harder to riffle shuffle than some of the other decks I've already mentioned. But it shuffles nicely, and it also overhand shuffles very well. It's slightly squarer than your average tarot deck. So it's a little shorter and a little wider. So there you go, the Gill Tarot. The next deck on the list is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot by Lana Zellner. I love this deck. And I love the mass-produced version way better than I love my indie version. You know, my indie version was horrible cardstock, and the borders, I swear, were twice this big. And I trimmed it, and I backed it in contact paper, and I never use it. Where this one, I use. The cardstock's really good. And it's the same images, except for, you know, the early ones. She replaced a few of the images. This is 2 of them. There's 4 that she drew new ones. And I so like the new ones. They fit in with the overall look of the deck so much better than the original ones. That, yeah, this is an early one. Drawing number 3. That one needs to go there. So it looks like I've got them mixed in somehow. But that and her book, the thought and attention that she put into the write-ups in the book. Yep, that's drawing number 4, so that one needs to come out. Okay. I just think is fabulous. The images make sense with the card meanings. And, you know, I just really like it. So there you go, the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. This is another US Games deck, which means the cardstock is a bit thick. These are also a bit bigger than standard tarot size. I can just barely get my hands on these as well. But they shuffle a little easier than the Gill Tarot does, because they're slightly more bendy than the Gill Tarot. All right, next for this year, the Prairie Tarot, a tarot of the American West. This is by Robin Attor. It's self-published, but I believe he's still selling it on Amazon as far as I know. I haven't checked. You know, once you get a deck, you stop checking. No book, but it is standard Rider-Waite Smith. And it just reads so well. And of course, I think I can really relate to these images, not because I am from the American West, but because I grew up reading Little House on the Prairie books, and not just the Little House on the Prairie books, but every biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder I could get my hands on, including a new one that I'm reading right now that came out sometime last year, I believe, or maybe the year before, but it's new to me and really gives the historical context for all of the things that she experienced. So I can really relate to and see the meanings in these cards really easily because of that background knowledge. Kind of like, you know, my knowledge of classic Hollywood movies helped me with that Hollywood tarot. My knowledge of the expansion of our country, the good and the bad, helps me understand this deck a little bit better. So yeah, I absolutely love this deck. It's not expensive if he's still printing it. It's not expensive. The cardstock's fine. You know, I mean, it's not the best cardstock in the world, but it is by far not the worst. And it's very traditional Rider-Waite, so anybody could pick it up who has a Rider-Waite book or any knowledge of Rider-Waite and read with it. And I really like it. So there you go, the Prairie Tarot. We'll give it a shuffle. It seems to be pretty much standard tarot size. Yeah, pretty decent cardstock there. And a decent box, you know, not a tuck box. It is a little sticky and hard to get apart. And don't put it back together with nothing in it. You'll never get it open. No surprise here. One of my favorites for 2018 was the Lily White Tarot. You've seen this all over my Instagram lately, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time I've done a full walkthrough of it and everything. So it's gorgeous. It makes sense to me. It works with my brain or my psyche or my whatever. It works with my intuition. It's just a fabulous tarot deck. Standard tarot size, great cardstock. Slightly matte, but not overly matte. My number 9 tarot. This is the Artist's Inner Vision tarot. This is the box it comes in the book. It comes in another bag than that one, but this bag worked better for me. This is really, really good deck. It's a collaborative deck and a collage deck. And it's kind of, I'd say it doesn't have a unifying theme. It's kind of all over the place. And I really love it for that. It's out there. You really, I mean, when you look at the cards, there's so much to see. But there's just something about this deck. Now, this has been out for a while. And as far as I know, it's still available. But it just, look at that 6 of Cups. I did a walkthrough of this one early in the year when I got it. It's, I don't know how to describe this one. But you can see the artwork doesn't particularly go together. I see a lot of motion and speed in that one. I can't explain this deck at all, and I just love it. It's a little odd sized. I think it's a little wider, but the same height approximately as a tarot, as a standard tarot. And it's got great cardstock and shuffles beautifully. And the last favorite tarot deck for this year is the Lion's Gateway Tarot. This might be my favorite out of all 10 of them. And I really kind of didn't expect that. It was one of those decks where I really hemmed and hawed about whether or not I was going to spend the money on it. And ever since I have just been in love with it. It's a toss-up between this one and the Sakki would probably be my 2 favorites for the year, because I had an immediate connection with the Sakki. This one, it wasn't as soon as I touched it, but it warmed up pretty quickly. It's very standard Rider-Waite, but I love this artwork, and it really speaks to me. Yeah, I really love this deck. I think it would have to, it might have to edge out the Sakki by this much. The cardstock is glorious. It is too big for me to riffle shuffle, and I've done a full walkthrough of this one anyway. But I did it from a different angle, so I'll show you here. I cannot riffle shuffle this one. It's just too big. Well, look at there, I did it. But I haven't been, I've just been doing an overhand shuffle. And it's matte cardstock without being sticky matte, like rubbery matte. And it's just perfect. I love this deck. Love it. So now we'll move into my 5 favorite Oracle decks that I got in 2019. And the first one is this little Illustrated Herbiary. You know, a little inexpensive book where the cards popped out of a sheet in the back. And I really like it. It's mostly because of the book, I think. I think this book is really nice. And having the really big images in the book just makes it, you know, you can really see what's going on there. And it matches the, here's the card, and here's the image in the book. So you can see it a whole lot better in the book than you can on the card. And the cardstock is horrible. I mean, some of the worst. Right up there with Tarot of Transformation. And you can see right here, this is where they popped apart. Or I used scissors to make sure I got a clean one, but it still has little nubs all over it. I still love it. You know, go figure. I love the messages. I really love the artwork. I wish this artist would make a tarot deck. Kate O'Hara. Because I think this is just gorgeous and would make a great tarot deck. And then there's my favorite Daisy. But yeah. It's got a ritual for you, a reflection. It's just... yeah, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this a lot next year. So this is a fabulous little deck if you are interested. This next deck isn't technically an oracle deck at all. It is the Bob Ross playing cards. And each card has one of his little, something that he said as he was painting. And I love it. I like affirmation decks. It's not all I use. It's not the only thing I use, but I think it has affirmations have a really important part to play in my spiritual journey. And someday I'll make another video about that. We won't go into that today, but I just love this little deck. It's true playing cards. So here's the 5 of diamonds. The little statements on there don't have anything to do with the card. Look around, look at what we have. Beauty is everywhere. You only have to look to see it. I think each of us at some time in our life has wanted to paint a picture. Just go out and talk to a tree. Make friends with it. See, I can read past the literal meanings and get a deeper, more spiritual meaning out of all of these little sayings. Anytime you learn, you gain. Just let go and fall like a little waterfall. You know, this is fabulous. And plain cardstock, so naturally it shuffles beautifully. It does have, I've already bowed it a little bit, because, yeah, it was a $5 deck, I think, and has Bob Ross on the back. But, yeah, I really like this deck. This is number 3 on my favorite Oracle card decks. This is the Vibrational Energy Oracle cards by Debbie A. Anderson, illustrated by Heather Brewster. There's something magical about this card deck. Now, this one, I do need the book. You know, I can't just look at the picture and get exactly what I want to from just the picture. But the little book explains things beautifully. So this is one where I use it with the book. Yeah, let's pick Creative Explosion. I'll give you an example. And it's just a little bit in the book, little paragraph. It's time to release and set free your creative vibration. Whatever you choose to experience is appropriate and well-timed. It's part of the quest you're encountering and engaging with at this moment in your life. Open this up and watch your world explode in front of your eyes, bringing forth amazing transformation. So yeah, that gives you a little taste of this deck. I think this is a really, really special deck. I think it's a little longer than a standard tarot, but it's got really nice cardstock as well. This is another one of those boxes that you shouldn't close it up empty or you'll never get it open again. It's really sticky. This is no surprise. I've talked about this one several times this year. The Angels and Ancestors Oracle. We've all seen it 100 times. It's everywhere, and it's everywhere for a reason, because it's a fabulous oracle deck. I mean, just magnificent. Great messages, fabulous artwork. It is definitely very diverse. It just gives me all kinds of good feels. I don't live very far from a train, so. Last but not least, the Dreamtime reading cards by Laura Bowen. I just love this deck. I love the artwork. I love the messages. What else can I say? I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I know I am, but I connected with this deck more than I expected to. It's another one where I have to use the book. Yeah, let's look at Magpie. Spoken word. The magpie is a large black and white bird that has a bad reputation for swooping down on people passing by its nest. Its distinctive melodic song is often heard as the sun rises, and it's known as a very talkative bird. Often the juvenile is raised in a group, which can be very loud and demanding on its parents as the young bird struggles to find its independence. The magpie is associated with chatter, gossip, and the power of the spoken word. It also reflects the struggle of the adolescent. The bird often visits to remind you that gossip, and more importantly, your reputation, is something you must be mindful of. It warns against talking about other people and the damage that gossip can do. Talking with someone you trust can be very therapeutic, but talking badly about others can be destructive and harmful. The magpie is always chatting, to itself, to its offspring, even to other birds. It can indicate there will be discussions or that you may be the topic of others' talk. The best thing to do is watch your words, speak nicely about others, and avoid idle chatter. So there you go. That's some really wonderful practical advice from our Dreamtime reading cards. This is a rock pool deck, so it's standard rock pool shininess, standard rock pool cardstock. There are the backs. I really love it. I really love it. All right, so there are my favorites for 2018. I know I kind of rambled on a lot without actually saying anything about these decks, but what do you say about your favorites? It's just, sometimes your favorite is your favorite just because it's your favorite, and it's not for any logical or explainable reason. So thank you so much for watching, and have a fabulous day.